Welcome everyone to the 14th Kids Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Today we'll be visiting once again with Mr. Kesh of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute in Bari, Italy. And he'll be answering some questions from a 17-year-old through email, and some of Mike's kids have questions on the nature of the universe as well. And we're following the trail of the division of the neutron, and we'd like to know more about how the initial mag-grav fields are formed and so on. Okay, let's move into, we'll hear a little bit from Kevin Devaney, and then we'll segue into Mr. Kesh. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, hello, Rick. Thank you for your introduction. Hello, Mr. Kesh, and to all knowledge seekers. In the last Knowledge Seekers workshop, Mr. Kesh, you elaborated on Nicola's drawings, and I wanted you, maybe if you could, if we have enough time, the 50, 60 minutes we have, elaborate on it in a kid's language, on the initial fundamental division of magnetical fields, which you said is very important to understand. Once we understand this, then all the other divisions are easily understandable. Mike Nashif has some couple of questions from his own kids, and there's a question, again, as Rick mentioned, from a 17-year-old boy. I don't know, would you like me to read it to you? There are two sets of questions, or do you have it already, Mr. Kesh?
I don't have any questions. Read it to me, please.
Okay, he's saying he's 17 years old, and he's from England and has a few questions. He says, Nikola Tesla said, if you can understand it 3, 6, and 9, you will have a key to the universe. 12 comes after that. There's 12 specific stones at Stonehenge, which you mentioned last time, 12 disciples with Jesus, 12 essential body salts, I believe, 12 hours of the day, I understand. In summer, there's more sunlight, like 18 hours per day, but stick with me here, 12 months of the year. And I believe 12 dimensions in this universe, or maybe even throughout the universes. Now, the point of this question, 12 strands DNA, seen as we normal human beings are missing out the 10 of these strands. It's not really a question, but I would like Mr. Kesh to comment on that. Maybe we can, if we can tie that into this number 12 to the last topic of the Knowledge Seekers workshop about the essential fundamental division of the magnetical fields, maybe it would make sense. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. Yeah. Thank you.
This question of 12 is to do with division of plasmatical magnetical fields of a plasma. In a present science, you look at very much the way Nicholas showed us. He divided it into 3, one center, and then dividing into 6 poles. But in fact, the gravitational magnetic field of a plasma divides into 12 segments. It's a natural process. It's very much like an orange when you peel it inside it. In so many ways, when you create three-base star formation. This is the way we look from the spaceship technology, not any other technology. When you have a 3 base and 1 on top, it gives you the free plasma. But at the same time, the shift in the motion, it needs to be slightly off-center that the fields can flow. If the fields stay in balance and equal, there is no shift or there is no motion. So in so many ways, if you look at the star formation, you usually look at star formation in a very strange way, which we try to explain here in a simpler way. If I can get it in, you have 3, you have 6, then you have my video is on. I think
yeah,
you have to reset your video. I still see Win offline, I see Brad offline, I see Ellie offline, but my camera is on.
It's not coming through for me, at least. Does anyone else see the video from Spaceship Institute?
No, no video.
Okay.
I think you have to do your magic game.
Oh, okay, that could be. Just let me... Yeah, that's probably what's going on. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Hang on a second.
Mr. Kesh, can I just inject with a short question? So you're saying there must be a disbalance to create a division always, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, your video is coming in there now, Mr. Kesh. We're not...
Is it okay?
I'm not sure what we're seeing. It's just a blank. There we are. There. See your hand. Okay.
My hand. Okay, no problem.
Bring it in here.
So if you look at the division of 3, and then you have another 3, that's 6. That's another 3, that's 9. This is your 3-base star formation. And then you have a 3 in the center, where the pressure of the center will create 3 centers and 1 center of itself. So you create your star formation with a center. You do not need to place a top core number 4 on each individual set of 3. You use a set of 3 on top to create the 4th. This is the way plasma works, and if you understand it, if you can understand the division in between them, then you understand partially what Tesla understood. Because, in fact, you sit in the full corner, gravitational and magnetical field. You are used to, at the moment, in the space technology, what we show, a reactor on top and 3 base. Now, these reactors each are in a matter state, where now with a new setting, where you have 3, and then you have another 3, and then having another 3 with a top core. Each one of these blue ones is got a combination of 3. So with the 12, if you look at it sideways, you have a reactor on the top, and you have there. So now you create the imaginary or free plasma condition. which is here. You have the center, the top, and the three bases. So now you create, as we said in the teaching with Nicholas, you create three imaginary phases which with the center line 3 become totality. So you get 12 segments. And that's how plasma works, because plasma, the division of the plasma dictates the power of the division. So you do not need to go far to understand, but you got to realize Tesla was a plasma AC man, and in his way of thinking, he always looked at the what we call now the three-phase system. The structure as we understand. I have a couple of systems of Tesla in different combinations, and when you look at some of his work, most of the scientists today have not understood 1%, 2% of his work. That's why there is such a situation with his knowledge and with his disbursement of his knowledge. Tesla understood one way, but he could not understand the other. He understood the magnetical, but he never realized the connection between the magnetical and gravitational. He could see division of plasma, he could transfer energy from one to another, but he could not pull energy from one to another. This is where now Professor Mile comes and he calls it with a new name, scalar wave. So if you have 6 magnetical, you need 6 gravitational to be able to create balance. As we've seen with the work of Nicholas last week, you saw 6 circles, but as you understand, in the universe there is nowhere which is void of the plasma, or void of gravitational magnetic field. If you look at the work of Nicholas last week, he gave us the center core, and then he assumed that this center core divides into, in a way, 6 circles, 1, 2, and 3. And then he created a bigger circle, which he marked it like 12 on the top, and then 2, and then 4, 6, 8, 10. But in this space here, what he assumed is total emptiness. But what I said, this is 1. The distance between 1 and 2 and 12 is exactly the same. These are magnetical, where here now is gravitational. So you have field forces, 6 pulling in, 6 pushing out. That's where the balance comes. And the minute one of these is out, it's where you get a disbalance and the opening of the plasma into a further division. So if you look, you have your 12 numbers. So in what he showed, this is magnetical because it's the field flowing out. But field flows out this way, but from then on it has to go back. So when it goes back, it takes with itself. So these are magnetical points, and that's the point of balance. That's how plasma divides and plasma holds itself in segments. In so many ways, in plasma physics, the work of the physicist has been always looking at the structure in one direction and not in both directions, both plasmatic and gravitational. The division comes when there is in the circle, if you consider the full circle, the division comes when there is a gap, there is a disbalance. And at a point of disbalance, this disbalance allows the creation of another center. It becomes a feeding zone. This is where the center, gravitational magnetic, finds a weaker point to release its energy. Or when we speak about energy, we talk about gravitational magnetic field energy, which is gravitational magnetic fields in motion. And that's how you get a division of the cell, division of a plasma, a neutron into proton and electron. And as much as is divided, then the balance occurs, and then you get a separation of the bigger and the smaller, what we call the proton and electron. But one thing which you got to remember and take this further is that in time, when you have a center in your plasma with a number of what we call protons and electrons and neutrons, you have forgotten one criterion, one principal point, and that is these, each one of them, are themselves plasma. So just because they become electron or a proton or neutron doesn't mean this process has stopped for them. They are still, as a neutron, as a proton, as an electron, going through their own process of division. So in time, the electron divides again to a smaller submatter condition. A proton, in time, as it releases its energy and it loses to its environment, it converts to subatomic proton levels. And in some cases, the subdivision creates additional electron. Or the division as a plasma, which cannot manifest itself as a matter, becomes the energy in the total structure of the plasma of the electron itself, in the orbit of the atom. The present physics always speaks about half of the story, not full story. And that's why later on, other scientists have to come and correct it. And this is exactly what I always say. With this technology, we try not to leave much out that everybody can understand fully what's going on. You understand the plasma of a neutron in time as it loses its field to its environment, divides into a proton and electron. But the next step, which has never been talked about by the world of science, is, okay, we say a proton is a plasma. We say electron is a plasma. What happened to them? They still lose energy. They are still back in the same process where the neutron, the mother, was. And in time, they themselves divide to subproton and sometimes electron and sub-electron and submatter. These plasmas are the field high energy which man has never considered, never understood.
Mr. Kesh, when you talk about sub for the kids, what does it mean? Like weaker? The weaker plasma?
Yeah, no, smaller. Smaller in atomic structure, which we do not, or the man does not have the tools to observe them at this moment. Because there is no difference between the plasma of a proton, a plasma of a neutron, and plasma of an electron. They rotate and they create condition in respect to the other protons and neutrons and electrons in the structure of the atom. To be able to create that positioning, they release or they allow their gravitational magnetic fields to interact. The gravitational magnetical field of the electron and gravitational magnetic field of the proton is exactly like Earth and the Sun. They interact, and this interaction releases, needs energy, and creates that they have a position in respect to each other. And the same process goes to sub-electron plasmas and sub-proton plasmas.
Okay, another question, Mr. Kesh. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that what the mainstream science is trying to come up with, those funny names with what a quarks, boson, spins, or whatever they want to call it?
No. Those quarks and things are inside the neutron.
Okay.
Those things are what are emerging inside. This is a physical division of the electron to sub-electron and division of the proton to sub-protons. Because then this goes back into a different high-level energy or very low-level energy. And then part of this division of the electron to sub-electron, this is how electrons move in different orbits in respect to the proton and neutrons and the nucleus. And this is how this movement, loss of the energy by electron, dictates the release and conversion of the neutron to release to divide into electron and proton. This division of the neutron is a continuous process. And then at the same time, when you have a disbalance, which means one of the electrons has gone into the process of division, so now it allows a space for a new electron to be produced to replace it for the stability of the element. So the neutron in the center has more near to this balance, divides into electron and a proton. And then this is what you call isotopes, atomic structure changes. Different. We are looking at isotopes in a very, very specific, narrow-minded way. For us, in the plasma technology, when we talk about the isotope, we talk about isotope not only in proton, but in subatomic, subproton levels, and in neutrons and electrons. So it's good for the children to understand that the process of division from a neutron to electron and a proton does not stop at that process. The electron goes through a division again because it loses energy, and a proton goes through the same process again, and then again their own divisions into submatters, what we call what we call matter divisions in respect to the man's point of vision and detection. So you have to, from beginning as children, remember one thing: do not narrow-mind yourself to a point of the end, because in the creation there is no end. In the world of creation there is a division, and the division as a plasma creates a friction, release of both magnetical and gravitational, and absorption of the gravitational magnetical field leads to creation of what we call submatters. And this is what you heard in past 5 minutes, 10 minutes, is unheard more or less in the world of physics, and the plasma physics, and the world of current science. Because man has limited itself. This is why Tesla limited his own knowledge, because he could not connect the relationship between gravitational and magnetic fields. And even Professor Miles, who understood the magnetical properties, he could not understand is connected to gravitational and magnetical to be the same. That's why Professor Miles has become a fringe talker in the world of science. Because he should have realized, I explained to him when we met a couple of times, he should have understood that he's working with the gravitational field forces, and Tesla was working with the magnetical field forces. And as gravitational field forces are stronger, they always attract. And as magnetical field forces are weaker compared to magnetical, Tesla could have a Tesla box, what we call a Faraday box, in confining the plasma or the field of the matter into a ray level that we can confine it, that it cannot leak. I hope we added a bit of knowledge for the adults and the children.
Yes, thank you. There's always some residuals, pieces of plasma, always during the process of division. And that gets pulled in always into the gravitational center.
It becomes part of the soup of the energy. Not all of it gets gravitated into the center. It becomes part of the soup of the plasma. The plasma, the way electron and neutron even find position in respect to each other, or proton and neutrons find position in respect to each other, is not just dependent on their central gravitational magnetic field principal zone. It depends on other fractions and the bits of the plasmas which have a weaker principle as well. It's very much like the total movement of the planetary system and their moons. It just doesn't depend on the matter itself. It depends on other moons and the planets which are in the solar system too. They all affect each other. Any other question?
Let me get my live stream on. Alfie says, I'm in the process of buying a 3D printer so I can make GANS reactors a little easier, and then I'm going to put 4 star formations in star formation, possibly with the whole structure spinning to create what you referred to last time as the master plasma. My thoughts are this: there may be a way to activate the other 10 strands of DNA. I don't mean instantaneously or anything, but it could be a giant step in that direction. Many hundreds of thousands of years ago, we or our original ancestors had this 12-strand DNA and apparently came from the 12th dimension. What are your thoughts on this?
Carry on talking. The answer to this is very simple. As you understood, hopefully, the last session, that in this session you are referring back to it, you should have understood in a very simple way the 2 have already created the 12, but you are not wise and you're too materialistic to see it. The same way as Nicholas explained to us how one principal circle divided to 12 fields. That's exactly when you see the 2, the other 12, because that's the field balance. The problem is that even in the DNA structure, DNA itself is made of proteins with the phosphor gaps. And that gap and the amino acid structure, plasmatic structure, creates a balanced plasma, and division of the plasma, as I said, into segments. Totality with 2 does not complete. In a plasma condition, you have further division, but as I said, it's sub, which is not visible to the eye of the man. Any other question?
Yes. Maybe Mike can come on and ask the questions that his kids were coming up with, which are pretty basic and important. Are you able to speak there, Mike?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead with your with what you're
All
going
right.
to present there.
Good morning, evening. Thank you, Mr. Kesh, for your time. And Kevin. Questions are coming from Kay and Travis from Houston, Texas. Let's see here. I wrote them in. Question 1. If there are so many different types of aliens, how do they all talk? Is there a universal language?
Yes. We wanted to patent it a few years ago. Fluorescence said, I discussed it with the fluorescence, shall we patent universal language? And then who can say it's theirs? Yes, there is. If it's too far, you're a child. It's easy to understand. You put 2 months, 3 months old children next to each other. They don't speak. Bring one from China, and one from Japan, and one from Africa, and one from North America. You'll find out they know exactly who's the most strongest, who is the top, and who is what, and what they communicate between each other. What language do they speak, or how do they communicate? Even when you see 2 pregnant women in a very advanced stages in the last weeks of their pregnancy come together, when one mother complains about the kick and the other mother does too. Man is too physical, is looking for a sound and light and motion for communication. The level of communication is what we say is the essence of the creation, is through the emotion and through the what we call the soul of the man. This is why when we build reactors, I always say to the knowledge seekers, pray for your systems. Because once it creates, let me explain to you in a very, very easy way to understand. Just a minute ago, we spoke about 2 plasmas, 1 electron and 1 proton. And these 2 are dynamic, and they interact and they find position in respect to each other. Somewhere here, there is a line where the fields rub against each other. What happens when you rub your hands together? You have a noise. We don't hear the noise of the rubbing. We hear the noise of the rubbing of the
I think we lost your audio there, Mr. Kesh. Okay, I think we have a temporary glitch here with the
When it comes to communication.
Spaceship Institute. Yeah, we talked about the communications, that aliens could communicate and kids can communicate, but boy, us humans have a heck of a hard, us adult humans have a heck of a hard time keeping the lines going with communication, in spite of our modern age. Okay, so
Did we lose them altogether?
yes, bear with us as we attempt to reconnect here. Oops. Okay, let's see if we can bring them back in. They might have to restart their computer or something.
Now is the opportunity to communicate through our fields, I guess.
Yeah, we could have a silent workshop for the rest of the workshop, and we'll just all communicate with each other through our fields. I wonder how the kids would feel about that. Okay, still having trouble bringing in the Spaceship Institute. Keep trying. This is where we should have the big book of kids jokes. Okay, I see I have to do some bit of fancy footwork here, so bear with me for a couple of minutes here. I'm going to put that back onto a different picture, and there we go. We'll just leave that up. Hello, Marco.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Yes. Got quiet there.
Okay, we have problems with one of the computers.
Okay. Thought something had gone.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I can hear you on Skype.
I think maybe your microphone might have to be plugged in or something.
Okay. So the workshop is done. We come back. Okay. What do we get is click in the background.
Sounds like you have sonar in the background.
Yeah, it's a very interesting.
Yeah, we are
sound out there.
swimming at the moment.
You're
We
underwater.
are in submarine.
Somewhere in the oceans off of Bari.
Yeah, we are very near to water here, so. Where is this? I don't know. Let's close it.
Is that somebody trying to steal a signal?
Ah.
Okay.
I don't know where it's coming from. We are connected somewhere. Now try to bring it back if you remember the code. Houston, we have problem.
Okay.
Can you connect me up there, please? Now we lost our Skype on the Spaceship Institute. What was it originally?
We'll try to find something.
Um, Okay, so
Oh, we're back.
back which way? Oops, now we lost.
Yeah, the online.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you call us on the Spaceship Institute, please?
Okay, will do. Okay, we're trying to reconnect with the Spaceship Institute here.
We are lost in the space.
Yeah, we started talking about aliens and communications and everything went haywire.
You see, this is you overloaded it by thinking.
I was sending you some radar pings, evidently. See?
Here they come, the aliens.
Okay, so that seemed to have worked.
Okay, I think every time we get lost, you have to call us back.
Okay.
We are really very well. So yes, we do have a universal language, and strange enough, we wanted to patent it years ago, and we came to a conclusion we were turned not to. So yes, there is a language. We understand each other. We understand emotion. Emotion has no physicality, and because it has no physicality, is understood by totality. Next question.
Question 2.
Question 2, okay.
Yes, question 2. The first one was from Kay. She's the, my understanding, she's the #1 10th grader in the state of Texas for American Sign Language, and she is interested in trying to sign some of the kids' workshops, maybe the adult workshops, you know, with fundamental key elements and teachings that are in it for the people in the sign language community. Anyway, question 2 comes from Travis. He's a little bit younger than his sister. He says, how come you don't make the bad guys disappear? I live in Houston, Texas, and I'm terrified of ISIS coming and chopping my head off. You said you can stop it. How come you don't?
Who's coming to chop his head off? ISIS.
ISIS. ISIS is, in our media out here, our media is portraying ISIS as the world's evil, and it's on all the time on every news channel, and it's terrifying our school children. That's all.
You know something very interesting? Do you know something very interesting? Let me answer your child in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Keshe Foundation is based in Trani, in the what do you call it, southeast of Italy, in the southern points nearly. We went out for dinner with Arman and Marco a couple of nights ago to celebrate a good news we had. And not even a stone throw, less than 20 meters, 10 meters from the restaurant, there is a church. It's a church of temples, or what you call crusaders. This church is placed right on the edge of water, more or less, where people went to the church as a man and came out as a crusaders and got on the boat in the back of the church and went to do what the crusaders did. Mayhem, chaos, murder, and the rest of it. In so many ways, we just changed names and religion, or name of praying to God one way or another. Where did the Crusaders disappear to? ISIS will disappear in the same direction. Man has chosen the name of God in divisions to create superiority for his own weaknesses. You go back and teach the children why these people, not all of them, but some of them, started this movement. You call them ISIS, I call them Crusaders. It's the same word in different time and place. They fought for what, or they fight for what they think is the right and is what it has to be corrected. To bring man to believe in God in their way of thinking. But in essence, there is only one God. Doesn't matter what name you put on it. On this planet, we chose as many names for the God as we have trees on the plant. The children of today has to be taught in a very simple way. They disappear when the world leaders disappear. When there is no world leaders and there is no division in way of praying to God or worshipping the Creator, then there is no difference. There is no ISIS, there is no Crusaders and the rest we've seen. It's not a magic. It's believing and behaving and accepting the world peace. When you're accepting the peace, in time we will see the change in the end of these divisions and things that we create. Most of these people, which especially in America you call them ISIS, look at the guns they carry. Look at the weapon technology they carry. They all come from the most advanced nations. African nations don't make arms. Advanced nations make arms to create, and when the arm is manufactured, has to be sold, and to be a need for it has to be used. Then you attach the name. At the moment, because the Western media has access to whatever we call satellites, the Islamic world has become the curse of the world. But in fact, it's the Christianity who feed them. They're just a subservient to the master. So ISIS finishes when the world leaders, be it His Excellency President Obama to His Excellency Mr. Putin and the Chinese leader and the Islamic world leaders, say goodbye, pack their bags, and live like everybody else in a normal way, that there is no difference between the man. It's the world leaders which create these divisions and these names, and they disappear as soon as they go. The simple way I can tell you how ISIS disappear happened in my lifetime. In 1970s, when I came to England, it was a pleasure to have an Iranian friend. I used to get invited to teas and dinners because we were Persians. 79, we were loved, and 1980, we were the most hated nation through the division of the religion and the man. The nation hasn't changed. And now we see, after some 30 years, now we become one of the leading scientific world organizations in nuclear and the rest, and now we have taken off the terrorist list. So I used to be a very well-loved man. I became a terrorist. Now I've been taken off the terrorist, but I'm still the same man. So it's how the Western media portrays the people for them to be able to divide the rules that they have a leader. If you go in depth in what ISIS stands and how they have come to protect themselves and divide themselves and create all these funny names, it was Bin Laden a few years ago, they killed him, now there's ISIS. Where are the European mercenaries who go and start these things? The problem is with our world leaders, not with our youth and other people. If you teach peace to the same people who carry the gun, there will no ISIS. It's the division we've created. The disappearance comes by the disappearance of the world leaders. Because as long as they want to be a leader, they have to be an enemy for them to be there to protect the nation.
Can you spend
You
a
said
little
in
bit
America,
time?
let me tell you something, because this was on the table last night. I had some friends with me.
Okay.
One of the Iranians in Washington took a letter of peace, World Peace Treaty, to the White House. Hand-delivered. He listens to the programs, he knows who he is. He went with his son. World Peace Treaty, you all know what it is and what it was accomplished with the letter which went with it. On 23rd of July 2013, some months later, I received a private and exclusive, you have seen it most probably, letter from the most powerful man on this planet, His Excellency President Obama, justifying his action of killing and murdering. Why he had to do this, why he had to kill this, why he has to have such an army to be able to kill and destroy, that they stay a superpower and everything is peace. And as you know, in my talks, I said, I send you the letter of peace and you send me the letter of killing and murdering. Two of us cannot meet. We have to teach our children that war, conflict, division, doesn't matter race, color, religion, nationality, is made by men who find a weak to support them, for them to be the bosses, for them to have a position. Murdering, killing in any shape or form is wrong. It should not be there. But you have to understand how they became what they are. They killed their parents, they killed their mothers, they killed their brothers and sisters for a piece of land called Palestine. We saw them. In the 45 days, they created $12 billion damage. Where do you want them to go to? They have no home. What happens if somebody comes and kicks you out of your house and destroys the house and take whatever you have? You defend yourself, or you find a way to show your anger. That's what we have. ISIS has created out of injustices of the West and the East. And as long as you have access to Fox television, everybody's enemy and American is the best, and the Europeans are the saviors, where in fact they are the creator of the wars. That's why in the coming time you understand we end up the kingship and presidentialhood and leadership, because all men are equal. And these people have been the cause of the division. You have to understand how these groups are created. Some of them are maniacs, psychologically demented. We had it in the Crusaders' time, we had it in the time of Persian Empire, we had them in the Roman Empire, we had them all over the time. We had them in the past century. We called him Hitler. But the people who follow these kind of path of thinking is because they have no way, or they see the way to get to power to become leaders. When we don't make arms, when we come to what we said, World Peace Treaty, thou shalt not think about the war, and will not carry arms, then there is nowhere to fight. There is no need to fight. As some of you know, we are pushing through the forces of the technology to enforce peace. And in a very short time, we announced a very significant achievement for the foundation in that art. We gave freely, but our freedom of knowledge sharing has a condition, disarmament. And we will carry a nation with us on this banner very soon. What a lot of people haven't understood is that our generation, your parents and us, are sacrificing not much, but a lot to make sure that the next generation has a peaceful time. And the peace comes from not having the arm. When you don't have a gun, you don't use it. When you learn the process of peace means justice and correctness, you correct yourself so there is no injustice. Then there is no war. Then, if you understand that, then you understand the language of the aliens, which is peace, a permanent peace, and not talk of the peace, because then you will understand your thoughts of war are read long before even you think about it, because you create the fields which lead to that level, what we call arms, fighting, or whatever, or war. Everything has a measure. Once you start measuring it, then you understand where it goes and how it goes. When you're in the sun on the beach, you don't get angry because it's peaceful and pleasure. When you're put in a bus in a tight corner and there's 20 other people sharing 10 seats, then there's a pressure and anger. The man is the same man. It's the environment which we have to create for it to behave correctly all the time. And the Keshe Foundation is in that path, to create the environment. This is what I keep on saying. We create the conditions, and then you get the result. It's not just to do with the reactors. We are creating the conditions that the man comes to be at peace. And you will see the evolution in the coming literally days and weeks, because he hasn't started. I see. Give from your soul as a child, which is pure and clean, to your world leaders. And then they walk off, they will not even carry the leadership with them. Then the man will come at peace. We passed our time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We should move on to the health workshop now, I suppose.
It seems that the children are listening to all the programs. We thought with the children program we teach the adults, but actually with the adult children program we are teaching the children, and the children come in their programs for the adults to learn. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
There is something while we are at it I have to explain to you. This will come, it's just once we get the institute going, we'll start the Keshe Foundation Children Institute in the coming months. This is on the run. We are looking at it very closely. Once we have the Spaceship Institute online going, we will create an educational system for children, hopefully to start with this by September of this year. It's a full-time education time program for children on the basis of the new ethos of peace and what is needed in this space. It's no use learning about the history of a country which is all fighting and has been the best. If you speak to every nation, the children think that their nation is the best and the only one and has always been the best. We have to bring that ethos, changing it from the childhood. So not only we start education with the adults in September, hopefully we start a school education for children in a very fundamental way that is usable and applicable in a space and not on this planet, because then they work as one team and one race, not at different nations, and who's better.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are working on it. The process is, because we are sitting, as you know, I have a young son, and we see waste of time. He's been in 2-3 different countries, and all the countries are the best, and they all teach nothing but the division even among the nation. And this has to come an end. So we have decided to start a Keshe Foundation Children's Space Institute. And we teach thoroughly. You can get educated, and in what we educate, They can sit for examination anywhere in the universe, which is a language of peace, understanding the process and understanding how to behave and how to live correct life through the science and understanding and application of science.
That really sounds wonderful.
It will be. We told you we opened the institute. We are here. We don't talk. We just text to set it up. At the moment, your team has enough on their hands.
Can we apply as kids to the kids' teaching and lie about our age?
Yes, of course. Let us set it up. Don't forget, look at Australia. Children don't go to school in Australia. They get taught on the radio. They'll set a standard. They follow the standard and go through. We set up a standard, international standards for educating children that all understand, and then they start working together. That we set the full structure for the universal children that one day in space, they understand each other the same language. They don't carry, I'm Iranian, you're American, you're this, and I'm this, you're Jew, I'm Christian. We work as one, and this has to be taught in the principle to the childhood, from the childhood, that they understand they work as one in the space. We don't have no nationality, no race, and no religion.
Universal children. That's a nice phrase that you just said there. I like that. The universal child.
We'll see what happens. We have to set up the institute now. We have the base, and we go from here to the next step. It's very interesting. If the children want to look, have here a very interesting position. I try to put the camera on for the children to see. I'm going to move very, very slowly that you can see it. If you can see, I try to come up that way. You see a number of reactors on the floor, and you see the latest small one here in front of me. And all this technology is set and developed over years. Literally, you see all the reactors. In the far end, you see the white, the brown. They're all different colors, different sizes, built in different part of the world, but all work to one system to create a plasma that it can put man in a space with the energy that it can consume at a point of demand. It's like a human race, and in a way it's like the universe. Shape, size, and color is irrespective. All work towards one direction to be able to deliver what is needed. So we are not talking, and this a lot of you might see, this is the picture of the new lab. We try to take camera in time. We're setting everything up for the children of the future and the adults to be part of. So you have seen what is about to happen. So the next step is the children education, and we'll see how we can do it.
How appropriate with all the different reactors there. Okay, we should switch.
We have 11 reactors here, 11 sets of reactors at the moment. One has been put in quarantine. It was a naughty one. That's exactly what your dad does with you when you're naughty. If you look in the last box in the back, Marco can show you, this one plays too much. So what we did, we put him away. This is a naughty reactor. It plays too much, so it's got in quarantine. He's been put in the box away till he learns what to do, or maybe when we meet his chickiness to bring him out.
Wonderful news. Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye for today. We'll come back together some other time. Can you give us about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we'll start here?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cash, and thank you, Kevin and Mike, and to the kids that had the questions. Thank you very much for your questions. We'd like to see more questions like that from children, and looking forward to the next kids workshop. Next will be 2 weeks from now.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, that's the end of the 14th Kids Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you everybody for attending.